But the problem with the Republican Party is they know that it doesn't have the interests of the voters in mind, and they're going to laugh at them on the internet because they're liars.
I appreciate Mark Mitchell joining us to go over this. He sent me a giant stack of polls, some polls that haven't come out yet. And looking over these, this is exactly what I see on the street. And so, and I need Trump to succeed. My God, the Democrats get back in, they're going to throw my ass in prison. We would be totally devastated if Kamala was in. Trump is like our lifeboat that I'm trying to take care of. And some of the people in his administration are poking holes in it. And so we need to slap some people around here. I'm not talking about Trump, just in general. We need to slap ourselves in the face, kind of wake up here and realize what's happening with what just happened last week with Democrats running the tables against us. And then there's fraud baked in there, but still. So, Mark, that's my long introduction. Thanks for being here. You sent me so many exhibits, like 50 of them. Where do you want to start here? And did I misrepresent what you're saying, or is that accurate?
No, 100%. I mean, I don't want to be glib, but I've been joking with my buddies that it looks like it's just going to be the second coming of the Glorious Revolution versus the Fourth Reich at this point. Like, I mean, that's what it really looks like, because the wheels are just falling off this like faster than I ever could have imagined. And I knew Trump would lose political capital, but for him to absolutely just like shoot himself in the foot like this in a public way where like he doesn't even understand his movement. The thing that's most appalling to me, and I've polled a lot, and I can tell you his approval rating is the lowest of his term, but it's only -9 net approval. That's not horrifying. Like, it could be a lot worse. It could be -20, and he's not there yet. And I don't even know if he'll ever get there because he does have a strong base. But the problem is that he's not going to have Republicans that help him, and the Republican Party just like completely was revealed to be a do-nothing organization that sits there to basically milk the taxpayers in Washington, D.C. and siphon off donor money because they failed so bad last Tuesday. And what they do is that Trump wins, and people are giving Republicans the benefit of the doubt. They're saying, okay, well, I want this guy, so I'll give him his party too. Then his party just didn't govern. They're MIA. They're not fixing any of these things. They did that embarrassing string of things over October, right into Election Day. And what happened is that Trump voters in 2024 like did not convert to Republican voters at all. And I knew that was going to happen, but it was even worse than I thought. You look at a place like New Jersey and you can say, oh, it's a blue state and a blue person won there. It's like, okay, but we see very clearly that Trump got 2 million votes in New Jersey and Jack Ciattarelli only got 1.3. And so there were 700,000 people who were mostly Democrats, young people and independents who really believed in the Trump movement and will probably never vote for a Republican again. And so in my DMs, all I've had for the last like 3 days now straight is all of these millennials and Gen Z people. Most of them were not Republicans who have been on the Trump train for 10 years now. And they finally thought that Trump was going to fix the issues. And what are they? They're completely demoralized. I have people like burning their MAGA hats and saying they wish that Trump hadn't been missed in Butler, like really dark stuff. The anger is off the charts here. And like, these are real MAGA people that go to rallies and stuff like that. They feel let down. And so I think Trump could course correct, but the White House is a joke, like the stuff he's being told. And it's like he doesn't even understand what the problems are. This was a referendum, as I've said on your show, about government trust. And so he got into the government and said, oh, everybody's going to trust us now. No, you have not brought America any accountability. And accountability doesn't just mean arrests. It's like, okay, well, we have a CIA that people think, 41% of them think killed Kennedy, and that 64% think is Mockingbird sending notes to mainstream media. It's like just putting a new person at the head doesn't mean people forgot that we still have a CIA that may have killed the president. So we have to go through the struggle session of like root cause, corrective action. Here's the investigation here. And I know these things take time, but nobody is doing anything. Like there is, you have Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, and he's in the news because of this personal lawsuit. What about firing all the people that raided Mar-a-Lago with the authorized use of deadly force, or all the people doing Arctic frost? They're probably all still there. And so with one referendum on government trust, draining the swamp, nothing. Not a thing. Like nothing has happened.
Well, that's right. I mean, I know the American people, more than even an economy, they want justice. They want intense indictments. They want action. And the fact is, by the administration, there's a bunch of showboating. It looks like a big party's going on. Then MTG says, hey, my constituents say they want you more focused domestically. And he's like, well, international is domestic. We get that, but you then have to say that.
You didn't make the case. Yeah. Well, and then the other one is the economy. And so, okay, Trump comes out And just like in Epstein, which I also said was a really big deal. Like, is the Epstein the biggest thing on earth? No, but when it becomes a symbol of a two-tiered justice and you completely are on the odds with your base and you try to brute force public opinion of your own followers, that's a big deal. And I said it was a big deal. I think it lost him permanently 5% of independence.
And now it's come back, and now I was about to ask. Now they're bringing it back in. They're releasing a bunch of it cherry-picked from Congress. But exactly, it becomes a touchstone of, hey, you were going to release this. This was going to happen. It's a trust issue that's captured the public's attention. Then instead of just shutting up about it or slow rolling it, no, instead, they, like you said, they tried to beat us over the head and tell us, no, you better get in line. The dumbest thing you could do.
Yeah. People didn't even care about Epstein that much. I mean, they want justice, but he could have just said, oh, we're investigating it. And people would have like waited till there was another canary in the coal mine. But then he did the exact same thing with the prices. And he just beat people over the head with gaslighting. Don't talk to me about affordability. That was the worst thing he could do. And I don't even think he understands the problem. The problem is that the middle class has completely been hollowed out, that we're being led essentially by the baby boomer generation who had the wealth of America, the land of milk and honey, and owns all of the homes and sent all of the jobs overseas. Like, that's where we're at right now. And most people under 50 palpably understand that. So when Trump comes out and says, well, you're all complaining about prices. Well, they're complaining about prices because wages have stagnated and people are underemployed, and you gave all the jobs to India. Like, that's why people are upset about prices. And so when he comes out and talks about bringing the price of turkey down, well, these people can't afford houses to put the turkey in. And they're making jokes about you about, well, Trump's plan for affordability on turkey is to like have a 3-year turkey loan where you can put no money down. And you know what I mean? It's like that bad. So again, where's the understanding that this needs to be economic populism? He ran as a populist and he's surrounded by billionaires. And like Bill Pulte might be the nicest guy on earth, but when your solution to like the housing crisis is to make prices higher, which is what happens when you juice demand without affecting supply, that's what that 50-year mortgage will do. It will make the baby boomer generation more wealthy because their houses prices will go up. It will make home builders more wealthy because they can sell higher priced houses, and it will make bankers more wealthy because they can siphon off more interest out of young people. And what's really sick is that we have a bubble right now. And so for Trump to expand borrowing by expanding credit and relaxing the credit requirements, what they're essentially doing is helping struggling people get into the market so that boomers who have made a lot of money can get out of the market at the top. That's even more perverse. And so that's what their solution was, when the real solution should be to crash the market. And yes, that would be bad for the economy, but everybody was talking about a controlled detonation of the economy. Remember back in January, I think it was, we're like, okay, we're in. How are we bringing this thing down? And you know what? That would have been the best thing for people under 50. They could have gotten rid of all the H-1Bs and all the visas and then crashed the housing market. That would have given every Zoomer a job, a good job, like an Apple development job.
Oh,
not
yeah,
like
crashing the market like a fever would also push all the foreigners out, all the illegals.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it would be a generational wealth transfer. But we still have generational wealth transfers happening right now. You have young workers who are underemployed, basically paying for all the Social Security and Medicare that the boomer generation is demanding to be there. And what I'm saying that we're seeing is the fourth turning, and I think we're seeing it right now. And I think the Israel issue, and I'm not picking on Israel. It could have been any issue.
No, absolutely. But exactly, that's been now the catalyst. That's what captured the public's attention. So break that down.
Yeah, 100%. So if you look 20 years ago and ask America about like, well, what did you think about Israel? It's like, it wouldn't have been that big of a political football, and the numbers probably would have been flat across age. But then there would have been a huge age spectrum between the youngs and the olds on what like candidate to support, right? Now it's the complete opposite. People aren't that far apart on Trump between like 18 and 65, but on Israel, they're completely far apart. We have a tracking question. I think I've mentioned it here before. Do you support Israel or the Palestinians more? And first off, that number has gone down a lot. People say Israel by 30 points 2 years ago. Now it's only 13. So complete implosion, major PR mismanagement. But the 18 to 29s, only 21% say Israel. The 65 and older, it's 59%. So they're completely at odds. And that's even before party. So it's even bigger, I would assume, on the Republican side.
And how did it become the issue? Because You have the left totally hating Israel. You have the populist right hating it. And my issue is that's all people want to talk about. I could just play a recording, F Israel for 4 hours. It would have higher ratings. I'm not going to do it. And I criticize Israel. It needs to be done. But it has become the zeitgeist. Well, all this other stuff swirling around. So the public kind of woke up. But like, that's the issue they know.
I think it's very clearly the fourth turning stuff. And what the fourth turning tells us is that there's a generation, the boomer generation is the one that, you know, takes over government, it essentially tears down the systems, grew up where there were strong institutions with strong values, takes advantage of that, becomes more individualistic and selfish. And then at the cusp of the fourth turning crisis, there's a change of leadership into the hero generation, which is younger people, but specifically the millennials, people who have come up under them, were raised by them, but have a very different value set. And so there's a crisis. And after that crisis, I think values are pull, not push. You can't push conservative, can't push Christianity on people, conservatism on people from a political perspective. There's a crisis and people reorder society around a new value set. So I think Israel is a very deeply ingrained boomer value. They saw the nation be formed. They supported it all through the years. And
it's become a religious sacrament. And so the young people see that as a rebellion point. And do you think Netanyahu understands? Do you think Israel, I mean, the Gallup poll, most unpopular country in the world, do they understand how screwed they are? Because everything they do, we'll get Tucker Carlson, we'll destroy him, we'll kill him like a fox in a henhouse. I mean, that is the perfect thing to just supercharge hatred against Israel. I'm watching Israel literally destroy itself, and Napoleon said, never interrupt your enemy when they're, you know, destroying themselves or making a mistake. Well, I'm not their enemy. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah. That's literally it. And they're not going to be able to correct this problem because it's generational. And again, and this isn't because the young people hate Israel. It's just because the young people realize that this is a very strongly held boomer value that they can rebel against. They're literally just rebelling against the olds. And the Nick Fuentes stuff is the perfect example. He took a group of people. He didn't make all the Groypers. There have been strongly conservative, disaffected men on the right for a long time, and they say edgy things. And these were the core of people that got Trump in the White House, and nobody even realizes that. The people on 4chan, you know, became the people on Reddit, that became the people pushing all the Trump memes. It's the same group of people. And Nick Fuentes, after, you know, Rumble and Twitter became more free, Nick Fuentes realized, well, I can like step in and be edgy and get attention. And so what did he do? He gave boomers a middle finger by acting anti-Semitic. And of course they spurged out, and that's what's happening right now. They're literally, and Bibi knows he's got a problem with young people. We saw the clip. He said it. I think they're trying to do it in some kind of broad spectrum, you know, monetary like way. I feel it palpably. Like the following of my account on Twitter changed about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's not working. It's just making people madder.
I was about to say Israel's not pumping millions, billions into the propaganda war, the 8-front war, and I could have told them this is going to backfire. And again, people go, well, why are you giving Netanyahu advice that'll help them? Let them destroy themselves. They got nuclear weapons. If people thought down the road like how crazy this is at the center of the universe, is fighting with Israel, I say, you know, don't support the wars, get rid of foreign aid for everybody. I don't want to blow up Israel, don't hate them. But it is, you're absolutely right, though. This is the rebellion point. This is the pressing on the nerve of edgelording. And you know, Nick got run out of his media operation by Shapiro. So he's had this beef a while organically. He's a microcosm of what now the Israel lobby is trying to do to the general public that any idiot would tell them is just going to supercharge opposition.
Yeah, and it did. There's this site that you can look at your Twitter account, and based on engagement, likes, and follows, it ranks you globally. And last week, out of 9 million followers, Nick Fuentes was 134th, while Ben Shapiro was 5,200th. And now on Rumble, Nick Fuentes is turning out more views with 14 times less followers and a much smaller account than Ben Shapiro is on YouTube. So they literally mainstream Nick Fuentes on purpose after me and many other people warned them about the Streisand effect. And so again, I'm not assigning motive to these people, but looking on the outcome, you know, they've used this to go after leadership at the Heritage Foundation. That's a pretty big political football. A lot of people out there.
Clearly it's the same old trick. Trigger this, now there'll be an attack on a synagogue, false flag or real, whatever. 8 months ago, me and Tucker predicted all this on air.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an anti-MAGA regime change inside the Republican Party, and that they don't really mind if they lose. They just can't afford to have America first. And I think part of it is that Tucker speech at Turning Point USA, where he laid out a very clear-eyed vision for what America first could look like as an extension of Trump MAGAism. And it was pretty intelligently laid out. Like, you could tell, in my opinion, that he's been thinking about what that looks like. And he also said a lot of things that are just very different than what Republicans would say. And again, not all about
That's
Israel.
right. The Republican Party is leaving the neocons, not just the Israel neocons. Mm-hmm. We left them a long time ago, and like the beaten woman is trying to get to the station wagon, and Netanyahu and Ben Shapiro are out there, you know, giving her a black eye, trying to drag her back in the house. She's gone. Okay?
Gone.
And so it's over. And all I'm saying, and I've told Nick this on air and off, I'm like, listen, great, Israel thing, we need to move on to China and stabilizing the dollar and going forward and not just press on this, because joining in on it at this point just energizes Netanyahu, who has all these indictments and just wants to stay in power. And so he knows this has happened. This is just even a short-term thing for him to then kind of come into this vacuum and grandstand. But what you said is absolutely key, Mark Mitchell, and that is that the Republican Party has moved on, it's over, and that there's no way that they're going to be able to continue this on. So if they want to kill America first, that way they think, oh, they're still in control of a quagmired U.S., but then Israel's the main demon from the left and right in the model. To get there, to destroy MAGA, you have to destroy Israel's view of the world. That's not very sophisticated.
Well, the people know who the Republican Party is now. And so I think you can have successful MAGA candidates that can build a big tent coalition. But the problem with the Republican Party is they know that it doesn't have the interests of the voters in mind, and they're going to laugh at them on the internet because they're liars. That is the current state of the Republican Party, and it's not going to change. Republican Party, I think, just wants to run like whatever Ken Griffin's favorite candidate is and get that guy 60, 65 million votes, and then maybe sell their votes to the Democrats in order to get some like pork and stuff like that. That's what the future of the Republican Party wants to look like. And I just think, like, looking at the Democrats right now, I think that game is kind of played out. And the problem with Trump is that it's so blatantly obvious what he needs to do to, and I think it's about the youth. He needs to recapture the youth because they were totally spurned. They loved Doge. Trump's biggest mistake was getting rid of Doge. If they were still doing that.
By the way, you said that at the time, and so did I. Now they're getting back together. He's brought in the guy Elon wanted for NASA, but I think Trump should, for the first time in his life, apologize, or at least bring back Elon, relaunch Doge. I totally agree. That is one big thing you do. He could also come out and give a non-anti-Israel speech, but you saw even J.D. Vance say, no, we're for America, not Israel. We'll work with Israel when we have shared values, but this president is controlled by Israel. We need to hear that out of Trump's mouth.
That made newspapers in Israel freak the hell out. Just that one statement. This president is not controlled by Israel. So this is a problem, is the Republican Party has all these like internal forces that would much rather just burn down the movement than actually like lose and turn it over to America first. Yep, you put the debt clock up. The clock is ticking. Like, we're one downgrade and a bond vigilante puke probably away from hyperinflation. I don't know. I'm not an economist. And so the clock is running out. But again, I think the playbook is very easy. Trump can go away, spend 2 days surrounded by followers, actually listen to Benny Johnson, and, you know, like, get back to the Charlie Kirk wing of this and understand that he's got it wrong. Like, he has the wrong platform right now. And the platform is literally just drain the swamp. And here's the second part: smash the oligarchy. And right now, unfortunately, Trump appears to be the oligarchy. And when I say, like, accept those as the platform, it means that there needs to be a plan laid out between now and just a year from now of what the rest of the 3 years looks like and what's going to get accomplished before November. And he's got to get the vote somehow from Congress. And if that means like real smash mouth, like really investigating the fraud, maybe censuring people, like, I don't know what it is, but it's got to
totally.
be
Let's do a
like
few
that,
minutes with the Mark Mitchell. Follow him at Honest Bolster on X, RasmusReports.com. He sent me a lot of other stuff I want to get into, but this thing with Trump melting down, we're trying to save it, is the big central issue.